Oh my goodness, here we are again. It's the Leaders World, brought to you by Leaders World Institute. And yes, our guests are right here in the studio. And I know you've been waiting. We are here with you.
For your corporate and personal needs.
Leaders World Institute, changing lives, one leader at a time.
With us in the studio is 𝗟𝗶𝗱𝗲𝗍. She told me you can call me Tolu. I was like, I need to call the whole entire name. So with us in the studio is 𝗟𝗶𝗱𝗲𝗍, and she's a personal development coach with mastery in clarity. She's a successful entrepreneur and 3 times published author. She's the co-founder and principal consultant at Growth Herald Consulting, an organization that was founded to provide consulting services to businesses and individuals in areas of clarity, growth, and productivity. Through this organization, she's been able to help over 50 businesses and over 1,000 individuals reach their business and individual goals. She founded Colorful Hope International, which is an NGO to empower women with skill sets needed to compete favorably with other genders. And she's coached and mentored over 2,000 women in the process. And this is over a span of 3 years. She is a multiple award winner and has featured in several global media. She has been speaker at several conferences and events, sharing the message of empowerment, clarity for young folk as well. 𝗟𝗶𝗱𝗲𝗍 is a woman that is passionate for growth and development, and she's also the founder, the owner of Colorful Progress Collections. Like, hey, this is who we have in the studio. Ladies and gentlemen, join me. Welcome 𝗟𝗶𝗱𝗲𝗍𝗍. Hey,
Hi. Hi,
how are
Suzanne.
you?
I'm doing great.
You
Very good.
made it. You made it. And we are so excited to have you.
I'm also very elated to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Oh my goodness. I just can't wait for us to dive and dig into this whole leadership growth and vision situation in the studio right now. Hey, with
Exactly. We are
us
here for
as
it.
well is Professor 𝗩𝗶𝘀𝗵, and he's a professor of business analytics, an executive trainer and leadership consultant. He's internationally certified as a speaker, trainer, and coach with the Maxwell Leadership Certified Team, and he's the former director of the MBA program for Northern Michigan University, and he was also awarded the Individual Innovation Award for his contributions to business analytics, curriculum development, and delivery. Wow. He brings together his experience in training business professionals and his leadership expertise to add value to people around the world. He's held several leadership positions in the past 25 years, and he has been involved in leadership development in Africa, Europe, and in America. He has offered keynote speeches to leaders in government, business, and higher education internationally. Wow, wow, wow. Well, he is the founder of 2 leadership development organizations, and that's Lead Missions International and Superior Lead LLC. He has an upcoming book, and the title is How to Make Today Count. Well, without much ado, ladies and gentlemen, with us, Professor Madison Gafferson. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. What a joy to be here with you. I'm happy to be here and to also meet Tolu.
Hi,
Yes,
Professor.
yes,
It's a
yes.
pleasure.
I have some of my friends asking me, how do you find all these your guests? Like, you have a network. I'm like, I have my ways. Well, we are talking leadership growth and vision. Leadership growth and vision. I was just thinking, wait, did I even put this thing right? Is it vision before leadership or leadership before vision? Tolu, what do you think?
All right. I must say thank you again for inviting me. I must say hello to our viewers. Thank you for joining us. Now, leadership before vision or vision before leadership. Well, I would say it all starts with a vision. Yeah, the scripture somewhere said, write vision clearly upon a board, let it be seen. So there must be a vision, right? First, I mean, from the leader's perspective, you must have something that you want others to run with. Now, it's vision first, then you can call a team and say, oh, see, I have this thing I want to do. How can we do it? No, so to me, it's first the vision. Yeah, because I believe everyone can be a leader. We can train a leader. Leader as born, some people are born with leadership potential. At the same time, we can train people to become a leader, right? So it's first you having a vision and a clear vision. Then you can share it, and then you can lead from there. That is my submission. I don't know about professor.
Well, let's dig deeper with Professor. What, did I get this thing straight? Is it growth before vision or vision before growth?
So it depends on who you are talking to.
Okay.
So if you are talking to the leader, it is vision first and then leadership. If you are talking to the follower, it's leadership first before vision. Because what happens is that when you are a leader, you are a lead, when you are in a position of leadership, it's because you have a vision. And now the vision cannot be done all by you alone. And so you need people to work with. And so you go looking for people. And that's where you display your leadership abilities. For those who are following, the thing that attracts them is not really the vision. It's the person. They're attracted to you because, you are Susan Echu of all people. You are in the leaders world. You are doing such a great thing. And they are attracted to you. And as they come closer to you, then they enjoy this great vision that you have. So they come to you because of your leadership first. And then now they understand the vision. So it depends on who you are talking to. So it could be the leader or the follower. But each one of them have different interests and they see it differently.
Wow. Listen, I hope you have your notebook. I hope you're writing because, that's what you should be writing, okay? Our vision, changing lives one leader at a time. We want you to be able to go home with takeaways that you're actually going to implement and bring your family, your business, your coaching, your mentoring, whatever you're doing, your personal development one step higher. So make sure you're getting your takeaways and you can also put them in the chat so we know you're here with us. All right. The leadership journey seems to be a very, very Herculean journey for most people. Why is it so? Like when you talk leadership in many spaces, it's like this concept is huge. Why does it seem so, Prof?
Well, I can only probably glean from my own experience how I entered into leadership. So about a little bit over 25 years ago, I was called to lead an organization back in my home country in Cameroon. That was my really first leadership experience. So, and I was working within a nonprofit. I was working with a Christian-based organization, a faith-based organization. So my view back then of leadership was that if I only knew how to teach, if I only knew how to preach, if I only could know how to do these things, then I would really be a fabulous leader. So it happened that I was blessed and honored at that time that the national coordinator or the main leader of my organization, stepped from his position and traveled abroad. So I came into his shoes. And in my mindset, it was like, wow, what an honor to just do what I thought I would always do. And then I would be able now to be the one to teach. I'd be able to be the one to do all of these other wonderful things. Then I was caught almost like, I was surprised that even though I was standing in front of the people were listening to instructions from abroad, from someone else, and they were not willing to listen to me. Then that's when I understood that there's a different thing. It's a different thing to know how to teach and to preach and to say whatever you want to say. It is another thing to have influence. So they were looking at me, in a physical positional leadership, and then they were listening to somebody who is across the waters for real serious influence. And in fact, they were even calling, sometimes trying to find out whether he would endorse something that I do. So again, that's when I knew that it's a different thing to be put in a position. It's altogether another thing to be a genuine, true leader that people can follow.
Listen,
so that I learned it the hard way.
You learned it. Listen, if you're watching us, I want you to put in the chat: leadership is influence. Leadership is hashtag leadership is influence. Do that. Let's know you're here with us and you're listening. So that is how you discover that it's one thing to be talented and gifted in certain areas. It's leadership is a whole new animal. It's a whole new beast on its own. What is the most challenging situation you have had, Ms. Tolu, as leader? What is the most challenging situation you have had as a leader?
Okay, quite a number anyway, but let me pick the particular one that is still quite recent. Okay, so there's this program, or I should call it a project, we're meant to work on with my team. He already got the job, got the offer, and all of that, you know. But along the line, I realized that we don't have deep level of clarity on that project, even though it looked like it in the beginning. So we're already like 10% into the project. And I told them, please, we have to pause this. We have to pause. They were like, pause on what? This is fine. Let's continue. We can't continue like this. Because I myself, I don't get the full picture of this thing, and it will affect our delivery. But to my team, it feels it's all fine, at least from the outside. But I took a deeper look, and maybe from the backstage, I tried to vision the end of that project. If we continue the way we were going, it's going to be all humorous. Okay, we'll deliver, and then it will look all good. But I know that good is we're supposed to have close to perfect results. But if we continue that way, we will just have a good result. And to me, good is not good. I believe we can be excellent. They'll say that if you aim for the galaxy, maybe you fall in the stars or something. But if you just aim for maybe the earth, you could even fall beneath the earth. So why not aim for something big? And then if you cannot even glean that, we gain something in the middle. But now if we
how was the challenge, and how did you solve that?
Yes, what I did was we almost froze. We paused the project, so we went back to our drawing table, and then we recasted the whole picture from the beginning. It was crazy, I should say, because it was we going back to where we had all to a level that we had thought we are true with, or we were true with. So we went back almost like trashing all we've done before to start afresh. It was challenging for me and my team, but we did it that way, and we delivered excellently. In fact, we delivered more than our clients expected. So they were so upset that they were like, they didn't even expect this level of delivery. So because we were able to, bear the risk of pausing and restarting again, it gave us a very, very awesome ending. So I would say that sometimes you need to pause. In fact, sometimes you need to stop if you really want to get that result that will wow the world. If you continue like that, well, we got the results, and then you could actually wow the world. But something when you would say, this is not what I could have gotten. So that was challenging, and that was how we handled it.
And that was part of your leadership growth journey, because we're talking leadership growth and vision. Leadership growth and vision. Before we came live, I was having a conversation with the professor about when things are not going exactly the way we planned, how we don't stress, we pivot. We don't stress, we pivot. We don't stress, we pivot. And that's one thing that every leader would testify about. Professor wanted to say something about pivoting.
No, I mean, we don't panic. We pivot. I remember I was just sharing an anecdote of something that happened in 2020 when you were asking me about how my organization is going. And we were supposed to travel to Cameroon to hold a program in the country of Cameroon. And because of the COVID, we could not do that. And so we regretted it, because we postponed our program like a couple of times, waiting for see if the months can die, and then maybe we could get to do it, but it just wasn't possible. But that was the very first time we thought, okay, why not run a program completely online? And then we did that for the very first time. And when we pivoted online for the very first time, we had leaders from 55 countries. We have never had that before. If we went to Cameroon physically in Cameroon, we would, at the most we have had is 5 different nations represented in our physical meetings. So when we are faced with challenges, we don't panic, we pivot.
So that's part of going back into that creative space and asking yourself, how can we keep going and even make it better despite the challenges that we are facing, instead of stressing out. So in an evolving world like the one that we are in, what do you think would be the leadership styles that are the best as far as leading and being a person of influence and working with groups, whether you're a small church group or you're working with your coworkers? What would be the best leadership style? I know that's a stupid question, but let's see how this goes. And I'm going to go to 𝗟𝗲𝗱𝗲𝗍𝗍.
Okay. There's nothing stupid in that question at all, is not. Okay, so we would say that the visionary and the coaching leadership style cannot go out of vogue. It's always in vogue, the visionary and the coaching leadership style. And I believe that there's no perfect leadership style. It just depends on the situation, right? A leadership style that I will use with a church of 50 people is not the same leadership style I would use with a church of 1 million congregation. So it depends on the situation per time. So visionary leadership style, coaching leadership style, all of them has servanthood in it. There's always that underlining part of you are a leader, but you are serving. So what suits your current situation most is that leadership style that we should launch. And that's where, as a leader, we must be of different parts. We should not just be, this is how I know how to do my thing. No. What if the situation change? What if the tides change? We should be flexible and dynamic enough to switch our situation warrants, right? So to me, there's no perfect leadership style. It just depends on the situation we are at the moment. My own submission.
Prof, let's get your submission. Perfect leadership style.
Well, I mean, there are, just different leadership styles. We hear people talking about transformational leadership. You hear people talking about transactional leadership. You hear people talking about servant leadership, democratic leadership, autocratic leadership, all kinds of leadership, right? And I would agree with Tolu here. And in fact, I've had quite a debate with my students on this topic. Sometimes I ask them, like, so which one is the best? The answer for me truly is that there is nothing like the best. It depends on the situation. It depends on the circumstance. There is a time in leadership that you say, this is how we are going to go, and there is no contributions needed. There is no argument needed about that. That's the way we are going to take. Then there's a time when you have to sit down and say consensus. And like, okay, how many of us think like that's democratic leadership now? How many of us think that we should go this direction? And so we move through some kind of consensus, right? And then so it depends on the situation. It depends on what we are really dealing with. But overall, I think I like transformational leadership, where you're working with people to create lasting solutions that go beyond the here and the now. And then because for me, I believe that sustainable leadership is important, that in the fact that you don't want leadership that when the leader is not around, then everything nothing goes, but you want a leadership that goes from generation to generation. And for it to do that, we have to work with people. That's why I would favor transformational leadership, rather than just transactional leadership, where you are just trying to do something and get some results for now. What about the results for tomorrow? What about the results after tomorrow? So I think that overall leadership style I would prefer is transformational leadership, which also has to do with some kind of servant leadership. But then, however you handle a particular situation in leadership, you might need to use one kind of leadership more depending on who you are dealing with or the situation that presents itself.
Yeah, my recent research in leadership is actually showing that we leaders have to actually learn how to lead people as they would want to be led, and sometimes it's not just as they would want to be led, it's actually as they would need to be led. Because yeah, because if we are the leaders, then there is a point where, like the professor is saying, we should know what the vision is, where we are taking our people to, and we are looking at that transgenerational influence. And sometimes the people might not see exactly where we are going, but it's not going to work if we say we are going to lead everybody in the same way, because people are different, people are at different levels of development. And sometimes I feel like, couldn't this be overwhelming, just learning how to lead people differently? Do you face that challenge sometimes, Tolu?
Very well. I would say my situation is even quite different, in the sense that I have to lead different kind of people with different status. I would say, okay, so I lead business owners, small business owners. I lead young ladies who are about venturing into marriage, right? Then I also lead single moms who had issues with their marriage, the divorce and all of that, and then they need to get back their life. Now I have this three set of people that I work with directly on a daily. Now, the way I relate to the business owner is not the same way I would relate to the single lady. And it's not the same way I will relate to the single mom, because their struggles differs. And even their level of reasoning differs, and even their experiences differ. So many times I'm faced with, okay, so what am I using here? What am I using here? What works here? What does not work here? Okay, recently, I hosted a seminar for single moms and single ladies. I have to do those things together. In fact, the same day. It was like I had to switch totally from what I was doing here to enter another new body. It's still the same person, but leading different people. So I will say that as a leader, we must be spontaneous. I always say that we must be spontaneous. When someone, okay, the other day I was at the conference, just yesterday even. Okay, it's a foundation, Ignite a Superpower kind of conference. We have, and it was a panel session. Now, I was not expecting, okay, I didn't have any kind of question I was expecting, but I knew that different questions would come from different angles. I had business people, I had even people that are not of the same faith. So people even come to you just to test your intelligence. They want to see, okay, they say he's very good and she's very good. Okay, let's even try. And they just throw one question at you, you'll be wondering, okay. So we have to be spontaneous. We have to be vast, right? To weather and to be able to live to our name. I would say live to our name. Earlier talking about challenges of leadership. Something I was going to say there, that one of those things that I see leaders struggle with is trying to live to that name, being a leader. Leaders don't want to err, that we don't want to fall into errors. And then that's actually train us, so to speak. I would say we are humans. Sometimes you don't want to be like, sometimes we are also clueless. I would say
superhero.
We are also clueless.
I got it all together. The superhero. I got it all together. I'm here with my cape. I can do it all the time.
honestly, so sometimes we have faced with that part of. Okay.
I like how you're mentioning that, because that brings us to that vulnerability piece as a leader, and just being able to acknowledge that we are growing. And when it's about influencing other people and adding value, it's not because we are superhuman in any way. And if you're listening to us, listen, it's about growth, you see? And the more you grow, the better a person you become to everybody around you. So that's just what it is. Okay, I just give you a little secret. Okay, if you're scared of this whole leadership thing and you're wondering if you should take on that new role that is given to you, is an opportunity to let the world enjoy who you are, and just be out there bringing value to other people. We have this question from one of our viewers that is 𝗟𝗲𝗱𝗶𝗍𝗍, and it has a question. The question is, where is that question again? There it is. It's on the screen. It says, what does it take to build sustainable influence? Are there foundational elements? What does it take to build sustainable influence? Are there foundational elements, Professor?
Well, so I define, influence simply as the ability to keep followers, right? Ability to not move people to follow you and follow the, whatever ideal that you are propagating. So I look at sustainable influence then is like, how do we keep people following us and then keeping that direction that we have created or provided for them? And I think that the key thing here is, it's integrity and persistence and all of that. Because now for people to keep coming back, it means they are getting what they came for, or they are getting what they are coming for. And for people to, for us to continue influencing people, we have to be influencers ourselves. And how we become influencers, I believe, in the first and foremost, is that we grow. That's why we're talking today about leadership and growth. Now, it is impossible to sustain your leadership and your influence on people if you are not growing, because you have to be moving so that you are worthy of them following you. Typically, in terms of the way we look at leadership, is that the leader goes ahead. So if the leader is no longer going ahead, then the people have to be stuck with the leader and stay in the same position, or they have to move on to some other person. So if they have to keep following you and keep moving in the same direction, in the same positive direction, then I believe that then you have to play a role that is better than, you have to grow yourself. You have to exhibit that integrity. You have to exhibit consistency, persistency in what you are doing, and be able to display those characteristics that generally attract people to leaders and influencers that want to be influenced. So I think that those will be my thoughts.
Wow. Consistently displaying those characteristics that attract people to others as leaders, consistently displaying. And I like how you mentioned about how the leader needs to keep growing. The leader needs to keep growing, because if the leader is not growing, the law of the lead with John Maxwell, if you're a level 4 leader and your people are growing and then they become level 5 leaders, guess what? It's just going to be a natural law that they are going to leave, because then you're not able to feed into that space in their life that is called leader. So as a leader, we have to be growing. As leaders, we have to keep growing. The consistency, persistence, the integrity. And I just like how you said those qualities that make for leadership worth following, because if we don't display them, what do we expect? We were answering your question, 𝗟𝗲𝗱𝗶𝗍𝗍. What does it take to build sustainable influence? Are there foundational elements? Yes. Totally. Yeah. Totally.
Okay. Very, 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 very quickly, I want to add something. I really like how Professor put it. Like, it's so instructive, very instructive. And this question I've asked myself repeatedly, because sometimes I fear going into, in quotes, extinction, when you're no longer relevant. when people don't want to listen to you again. I've actually pictured that what would ever happen that these people would no longer want to hear me again. So I've always feared that, and I've always worked against it. And this was the question. This was what came to my mind. I pictured myself as a tap where people always come to fetch water. They always come to fetch water. Then I asked myself, what would ever happen that they will come there and there will be no water again? So I told myself, okay, so I'm supplying them water because there's a tank on my head, right? So where am I getting that tank from? It's from a supply down there. And that supply will not come to my head if I don't pump water into it. So I told myself, if I want to continue to be relevant to those people, that they will always come and get water, I must always pump into that tank on my head. Yes, I keep reading, I keep investing in myself, I keep going to coaches, I do everything. I always tell people, your coach also have a coach. Your mentor also have a mentor. So by the time I say, I'm okay, I let everybody come to me, I want to teach you, I want to lecture you, I want to coach you, and I'm not going anywhere to get more. One day, they'll realize that I'm repeating the same thing to them. Oh, no, she said the same thing last year. She's not growing. They will notice that I'm not growing, and they'll stop listening to me. So to continually be influential, you also need to keep pumping back into yourself.
Wow. And I like exactly how you said the coach also needs a coach, because yes, sir. Prof, can you just throw more light into this whole the coach needing a coach thing? Because yes, the coach needs a coach. We can't oversay it. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Now, I want just to bring, because I always like to talk from my example, right? For the things that I've gone through. So, a couple of years ago, I was approaching 40 years of age, and I was going through, at that time, I was going through a really rough time in my marriage. For the very first time, I thought about the D word. I'm not going to pronounce it here, but it was a really difficult time. It was a really dark moment. And I remember praying for several months. I just asking God, Lord God, what is going on? Why can't I, what's happening? I've never seen this. That was the time I, talked to all of my mentors, my pastors, please pray. I don't understand what is going on. And one thing that came out of one wonderful, great thing that really transformed my whole life out of that experience was that in the midst of it all, I just felt like I heard, God say to me, what are you going to do about this? I said, Lord, I want you to do something about it. I'm powerless on my own. And all that. I want you to do something, but what are you going to do about this? And in the midst of all of that, there's something that I came out with a resolve. And I said, at that time, I was, like I said, I was approaching 40 years of age. And I said to myself, for the next 40 years of my life, if God will let me be here, I want to dedicate my life to, number one, being, I want to be a kind of a husband. The husband that loves his wife as Christ loved the church. I'm a person of faith. That's an anchor to that. Number two, I want to be a father who raised his children in the way that they should go. Number three, I want to be a professor who taught more than data analytics, that taught life to my students. Number four, I wanted to be a citizen that honored his country, Cameroon. Number five, I wanted to be a leader who helped men and women around the world discover, pursue, and achieve their God-given purpose. When I, in my darkest moment, decided that for the next 40 years of my life, these are the 5 things I live for. Now, every invitation, every call to come somewhere is determined by whether they help me do these 5 things. If they are not really tied to these 5 things, thank you very much. You will not see me there. But now, this is what it did for me, though. When I made that decision, I was not that husband. I was not that father. I was not that professor. I was not that citizen. I was not that leader. And so what did I have to therefore do? I had to start looking for mentors, people that epitomize for me what a good husband should be like. I started looking for people who would epitomize for me what a great father looks like. People, what a great professor looks like, what a great citizen looks like, what a great leader looks like. And so I made this decision. This decision moment was around 2013, and from that time, I started to accumulate in my life mentors and coaches in different areas. So till today, I still have mentors in different areas. I have speaking mentors that help teach me how I can articulate my ideas. I have, father mentors who help me how to be a father, who are fathers par excellence, and I can follow them and look at them in that way. I have people that mentor me how to be a great citizen, people that do great things for their own countries and nations, and I look at them as a model to follow. So I would say, therefore, that every mentor needs a mentor. I just came from a conference in Los Angeles, California, where I was with Lisa Nichols. She's my one of my speaking mentors, and I really, really appreciate her. From where her own story and
yes,
able.
Lisa is amazing.
Exactly, and in fact, this is one of the words I told my mentees, because I shot a video while I was there. I said, you know what? Every mentor needs a mentor, because a life that is well lived is a life of not only inputs but also exits. In other words, if you are only receiving and not giving out, will explode. If you are only giving out and you are not receiving, you will implode. So choose which one you like. But again, you want to live a balanced life, you are receiving, and that's how true leadership should be. It should be receiving, but then it should be giving, so that it doesn't implode and so that it doesn't explode.
Right. Wow, that is so beautiful. If you're watching us, I'd like you to put in the chat, a life that is well lived. I'm going to put the twist. The twist is this: a life that is well lived is a life that is well led. All right, put that in the chat. Let's do it. A hashtag. A life that is well lived is a life that is well led. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on the Leaders World, brought to you by Leaders World Institute. We are looking at leadership, growth, and vision, and we will be right back.
For your corporate and personal needs.
Leaders World Institute, changing lives, one leader at a time.
With us in the studio is Tolu. Tolu is a coach and mentor, leadership, a leader of several organizations, and she is a clarity coach. Tolu, what is the potential? What is the potential of vision when we link it up with clarity? What does clarity have to do with vision? And how does that relationship work between those two?
Okay, now this is that aspect where I could go on and you tell me it's okay, and I'll say no.
Guess what? I'm about to tell you it's okay if you go on and on, but yes, please go on and on.
Okay, so I like to illustrate a lot, with things that we can see around, makes it easy to, understand stuff. So I always say that if I'm just going on a street and then I have no idea where I'm going to, and then I meet a friend on the road and he says, "So, where are you going?" I say, "Oh, maybe just there." I say, "Oh, no, come follow me. I want to show you somewhere there." Because I had no idea where I was going the first day. I was just going on the street. I would follow that lady or that guy. And then when we moved some few miles and they say, "Okay, somebody say, okay, let's go another way," I'll follow again, because I had no picture where I'm going in the first place. So I always say that as leaders, we must have trueness of intent and clarity of purpose. Trueness of intent and clarity of purpose.
Right.
Because if those two things are missing, I don't know what we are leaders for. If I have a vision that is not even clear to me and myself, how do I interpret that vision to my team, to others? And the truth is that it's very easy to smell it, that I'm also clueless or confused myself as a leader. So how will we say clarity in everything we do, clarity in relationship? Earlier, Professor was saying that a time in his life, it was clear, or he had a picture of the kind of husband he wants to be, of the kind of wife, father he wants to be. He has that picture, though it might not be very, very clear. Like I always say that if I'm going to say I'm going to, or I don't know, I'm going to XYZ place from here, I can't see the true picture of where I'm going, but at least I know where I'm going. I know the road. I know maybe how to get there. And as I go, it's like a puzzle fix. It keeps getting clearer as I go on the road. So I will always say that if you really want to have results, be it a leader, be it a follower, you must be clear about whatever you want to do. At least a percentage, if not totally, because we cannot see everything from the beginning. But at least get the understanding of where you are going. And as you go ahead, you keep gathering tools to help you, forge your head and get that. So for vision, I will always refer to that scripture in Nahum that says that write the vision clear on the board. The scripture was not lying when it said that, because he knows that if that vision is not clear enough, you will be easily swayed off. And I think the leaders have this issue with competition and comparison a lot, and I preach against it. Because if as a leader you're not clear about what your own vision is, by the time it looks like this person is doing more than me, if this person is getting more audience than me, getting more results than me, you now start questioning your own vision. Do you ever think I'm on the right lane? You start looking to you like, maybe I'm not supposed to be doing leadership. Maybe I should be doing maybe health. They just start taking a course on health. Then when you get to the health this year, and it's not the in thing now is tech, like prof. It's now tech. Tech. Okay, let me just pack this. Let me go to tech again. Then you keep moving from one place to the other because you were never sure about what you wanted to do. So as a leader, we need to be clear about our own vision. If you're not sure, we cannot. I always tell people, you can pray. Yes, pray. Yes, we get clarity to prayer. And there are many steps and many tools to gain clarity. But at least be sure that this thing that I'm doing, even if they wake me up in the middle of the night, I'm sure that this is what I should be doing. So clarity of purpose and trueness of intent is very important for every leader. If you don't want to keep getting into perpetual level of confusion, because if not, just be moving in and out of confusion.
Clarity of purpose, trueness of intent. Beautiful. One of our flagship programs at the Leaders World Institute is Give Your Vision Wings. We have seen countless testimonies. Yesterday I was in a coaching call with one of our clients, and she was like, I have been on my toes since that training. She said, because it's like a fire got on me. And she had never been into poultry business. She said when she went back, she shared everything she got from the training with her husband, and they were like, let's get into this thing because we've been thinking of doing it for a long time. Let's not sit on it no more. And she was telling me now they have hundreds and hundreds of poultry. And she said the neighbors are like, wait, how did you get into this? She's like, don't even ask me because I don't even know how I got into this. And we have countless testimonies. We have our friend Gabriel building an orphanage. He had been sitting on that for years. And when he went through our training, it's like it just lights up a fire that tells you now is the moment. And he started building this orphanage, and he's done with the orphanage, and he's doing the finishing touches. We have countless testimonies, but I can tie it to nothing other than clarity. Once the clarity hits and you see it, you seize it. And that's what has been happening. I'll come to you, Prof, to ask you about how growth and vision, leadership growth and vision, how does that look like in a business? How does that look like in an organization? Are you able to see it and know it's there?
You see, first of all, let me say that growth is not automatic, and growth must be intentional. And I want to also say that growth is always an uphill task. And growth, nobody ever falls uphill. Nobody says that, oh, as I fell from the mountain and then I found myself rolling up. No, nobody rolls. Nobody only roll down. In other words, growth is a very intentional, purposeful, effort requiring type of thing that happens in your life and my life. And here is the deal, though. Think about it this way, I am a village boy. I really grew up in the village. I grew up with my grandfather and my grandmother. And a lot of things that impress me today are the things that I learned when I was growing up in the village. So when I was growing up in the village, I was so convinced that the heaven was touching one of the tallest hills in my village.
Okay.
I always had that belief. I always and then the people used to tell me that no, in Madison, that if you go to that hill, that you will see that the heaven is touching another hill. I didn't believe that. I said, no, what do you mean by I can already see that the hill is touching that, is touching the heaven at that point. How can you say that when I go there, I will see it differently? Okay. And then I grew up. Then I approached the hill and I suddenly discovered that the closer you go towards your horizons, the horizons will push back and you will notice another horizon. So all of us live under the same heaven or under the same sky, but we don't have the same horizons.
Wow.
And vision is the ability to see your horizon from where you stand. And growth is the ability for you to move towards your horizon so you can see even more of what you did not see in the very first place. So that is how, from a village boy perspective, that is how I see vision.
I love this village boy perspective so much. I'm just going to come back here to just listen to this village boy perspective one more time. I love how you say it. Wow, I had never seen it that way for real. Yeah, please keep going.
So that my job, therefore, when I see that, okay, that the heavens touch my, the hill in my village, the way now I know that there is a bigger perspective, a higher perspective, is for me to move closer. So as I move closer through growth, then I discover, oh my God, it's not nearly, it seems like the horizon are not exactly on that spot. It seems like they're on the other hill. And then as I go closer, I notice, oh, not really, not quite there. It's on the other hill. So that's how growth brings about clarity. And that is how that clarity makes your vision even more, it enlarges your sight and makes your vision even much clearer. A while ago, Tolu was talking about the importance of clarity of vision. I want you to just throw this in. You see, clarity comes when we look inside, backwards, upwards, around, and ahead of us. Let me just explain. The purpose of a thing is found in that thing. So when you want to know what clarity can I receive for my vision, what is the vision for my life, you just need to look inward, because in every seed is built the ability for it to become that thing that it was meant to be. So you don't look for it outside, you look for it beginning inside. Inside it says, what was I created for? What are my general proclivities? What are the things that I like? What are the things that I'm passionate about? What are the things that drive me? And as I begin to look on those things, I begin to get some clarity. That is inside. But then we also look backwards. What about your journey? I'm a village boy. There's no way, no matter how far I go, I still have the roots from where I come from. I was born in a particular nation. I was born in a particular place. And that helps me even in the clarity of my vision, because the way I see is not the way others see, because I come from my village, I told you. And then also by looking up, you are saying, God, why am I here? You are my creator, you are my maker. Why am I here? You look around you, because the people that come to you, Tolu, the people that come to you, Susan, they are coming because there is something for them in you. So when you look at the people that surround you, it can give you a clue to what that thing that is in you. Why are they coming close to you? Why are they attracted towards you? There is something in you for them. So that can also give you clarity. But also by looking ahead. Looking ahead means your dreams, your aspirations, the things that you sleep in the night and you are literally dreaming about.
So is it possible at any time to look into a business, an organization, and actually see growth and vision? Are you able to tell? Like if I am a leader and I'm wondering where I am right now, how can I help myself to know whether I am in that growth space or in that zone of leadership where I have the clarity to do what I need to do to get my uh, business forward, to get my organization forward? Are you able to see that in an organization?
So here is something. So if the organization was created by you and was formed by you, I would say that then you see you have to have clarity within your own purpose. You really have the organizational part clear. And if it was created by another person, then you need to kind of tap into their vision. Why is it that they started this thing? So it depends on who you are as a leader. If you're a leader who is following the vision of another leader, that is a different thing. You need to then go to what the original print was when they saw it. But if you are the one who started what you have started, then clarity within yourself is very, very important. Because why? You see, all three of us on this forum today, we are leaders. You see, but the way I lead is different from the way you lead. And I lead from the context that I come from. I lead from my experiences, from the things that I come. So when I come to my class, for instance, with my students, I come from a different context, different country. I speak a little differently. I look a little differently, and all of that. And all of these experiences make me the leader that I am. So therefore, the ability for me to tap into these various contexts and see now where my organization or my class or whatever I'm trying to lead is, and now seeing how I can move them to where I'm supposed to be becomes really powerful. But it starts with me, leading me so that I can lead you better.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you so much for that contribution. Ms. Tolu, Miles Monroe tells us that most people today are not leaders. They just want to make a living. I was like, let's get your thoughts on that.
Yes, I'll always say that leadership is not a title. You know, many people think I want to have that title, but leadership is actually work. So when you get into leadership with the wrong intention to lead people because you want to amass people, you want them to reckon with you as, oh, that's XYZ person, you're not leading. You're basically just you're just trying to should I say hype yourself, just give yourself that feel of leadership. So many people are not leaders because their intentions are wrong from the beginning. It's very, very wrong from the beginning. So for you to actually, okay, I will only ask myself, did I just fall into this leadership space, or how did I get here? How did people reckon with me and say, okay, you're a coach? I even asked myself, who gave me the name of a coach? How did they even start? You know, so these are questions that leaders ask themselves, and then I realized that many people did not even have a structure. Let me say, if you start being a leader without structure, say you found yourself into it, or probably you walked into leadership. If you really want to maintain being a leader, that is where you need to go to structures like Leaders World Institute, trying to put a structure around it, and then really live to that name of being a leader. So you will not just be arrogant people. You know, I would say in my country, Nigeria, we have people, elders, who herd cows, right? And I'll say that sometimes some cows are even, I'm sorry to say, even more knowledgeable than some of them. In the sense that, okay, you're trying to lead a cow to a road where commuters are really passing. Then the cow themselves will be like, no, let's go this way, because this seems like we are already going off track. So leaders, some leaders are not leader because they don't even understand what leadership entails. They don't understand the nitty-gritty of being a leader. They have no training whatsoever. So if you want to really be a leader, you must be trained. You must get trained. And then even if you walk into the leadership, that the must just fall upon you as a leader. It is the onus is upon you to own your craft, to get better at it. If you really want, like we said earlier, if you really want to maintain that name and really continue to be influential.
Your thoughts, Prof, on people not being leaders and just wanting to make a living.
Well, you see, John Maxwell says leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. It's not like leadership is not many things, but the foundation of leadership is really about influence. So when Miles Monroe talks about making a living, is like so they are there, they have a position, and because of their position, they get to do one or two or three things, and then they get remunerated, or they get paid for what they do. So that's why he's saying making a living. They are making a living and not there to really bring about the influence. So we can say that there are a few leaders. When we think about how many people are all of the people that are leading, and governors and directors, managers, and all of these people. Now, if you ask me, how many of them are really influencing the people that they are supposed to be leading, and from where they are now to where they could possibly be, there would be very few. But the only reason why they are keeping their position is because, again, they are being paid to do what they do. And the people that are under them are staying because they too are being paid for staying under them. And then they know that they will lose their paycheck if they do go away. So, but true leadership is really manifested when people don't have to pay you and they have to stick with you. Yes. That is why I have a lot of respect.
Or you don't have to pay them and they choose to stick with you.
Exactly. Because that is where you really test influence. That's why I respect people who work in the non-governmental sector, in organization where people have to volunteer, because nobody is supposed to be with you. The guys who work with me in my organization, all of them are volunteers, right? So it's either.
So I guess you passed the test. They are still there. Let me just ask this question. This might listen. In 2 minutes, we'll be off here. So if you have a question you wanted to ask, this is your time, okay? Because we are leaving this place in like 2 minutes. But let's say there's somebody that is like in middle management, and they're wondering, okay, I don't think I in the leadership position to do all that I need to do. Is it possible to lead up? How does that work? Remember, we're talking about leadership growth and vision. Middle management, leading up. How does that work, Professor?
Okay, I'd like to give examples, because examples they kind of move things from the theory part of it, or theoreticals, and bring practical. So I am in Palm Beach right now, but I just moved here like 4 months ago from Northern Michigan University. So something happened in my university a few years ago. So I came as a new an assistant professor then. That's what I was. And there was and then one day the dean of my college walked into my office and said, "Madison, you are doing a really great job. I think that you will be just the right person to lead our MBA program." And I was surprised, because I said to myself, there are people who had PhDs in that department maybe before I ever was born, and they should be the one leading that. They should be the leaders, right? And then, unbeknown to me, I was told only years afterwards, which was that the MBA program was declining enrollments. It was even about to be shut down, and so they gave it to the people who they thought could do it, and they refused it. And so they were laughing at this young gentleman who is stupid enough to take on a dying program, and he is just a new kid on the block. He is just an assistant professor, and he is taking this thing, and it's going to die in his hands, and they're going to blame him for it. So I never knew all of that. It was 3 years afterwards that another colleague walked into my office and said, "Madison, all of us refused this thing that you accepted." But what am I trying to say? So when I took the program then, and I began now to grow back the program, and I began to do the things that were necessary to increase enrollments and to grow all of that, guess what? It got the attention, number one, of my dean, and then it got the attention of my, the president and the people at the higher ups, like you were talking about the top leadership.
So what principles did you actually employ to be able to help you navigate that season? Because obviously it was very successful. After 3 years, you had those congratulatory notes for what you were doing. What principles did you employ? Because there might be somebody in that type of situation like that needs this advice.
So when you are a middle manager, when you are in middle management, your meat is your excellence in your expertise. You see, that is how you influence your higher ups. They are looking for somebody who will display excellence and expertise in solving this particular problem or this particular set of problems. As long as you can solve those problems and consistently and with excellence solve those problems, you get their attention. So because of that, I got their attention. That is why at one point in time, I was able to secure a grant that has never been offered. And I was able to travel to Africa and African nations, talking about my university and getting other universities in Africa to link up with my university, because the people in administration had their confidence in me was boosted. And even though what I was going to do this time around was not really going to be about maybe in my particular area of what that I'm doing, but they were able to give me the permission to do that. So the way you do that as a middle manager is grow your expertise. Do you know what you were really employed to do at that place? How can you solve the problems that are around your particular area? When you become a problem solver in your area of expertise, you generally get the people up to be concerned, especially when what you are solving is making the dollars roll in. No administration hate the dollars when they come in. When the dollars start coming in and the budget is growing and the money is coming in, guess what? You are going to be their friend. They are going to have you on speed dial. That's how you
speed dial. I love who doesn't want to be on speed dial? Like, for the good stuff, So I'd like for you to put in the chat your key takeaway right now, because we're rounding up. Please put in the chat your key takeaway. Tolu, you're a 3-time published author. Clarity, Lady Before You Are 30, How to Make More Money. Where can people get your resources?
Okay, so on several platforms, you can go through my website at www.positivegrowthcc.com. Yeah, www.positivegrowthcc.com. You see every of my resources there. And then maybe on Facebook, you will connect with me on Facebook also. You get my resources through that also. And then Amazon, I have every of my resources on Amazon. You can check to 𝗟𝗶𝗀𝗶𝗍 on Amazon. You get clarity. You get every of my resources on Amazon. And very quickly, something about words Professor said earlier. There's a book titled, I don't know, maybe a leader who had no title, something like that, talking about leading from the back. Sometimes you will not always be at the front.
You know what? I am going to have a whole program that's going to be titled "Leading from the Back." I like that. Let's just say it as it is. It's leading from the back. We are going to. Yeah, let's do this. Keep going.
Suzanne got that already. Okay, so on Amazon, every of my resources are actually there.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Prof, I know this book is about to come out, How to Make Today Count. I know that I'm going to put your links to your websites in the chat for our viewers, but tell us a little bit about your book that is coming out soon.
So the title of the book is The Day Before Tomorrow, How to Make Today Count.
Right.
So this is probably the book because I wanted my first book in my life. This is the first time I'm really sitting down to write a book. I wanted that book to represent who I am in the essence of who I am, which is that I am a person who values today. You see, many of us spend all of our lives, and yesterday, okay, what my auntie did to me yesterday, what my parents could not do, the unfortunate circumstances that happened yesterday, or even it was good, okay, the good old days, and we spend our life in yesterday. And then a few of us again, when we muster a lot of courage to even climb out, and suddenly we jump into tomorrow. We We say, well, someday I am going to be a big man. Someday I'm going to make money. Someday I'm going to write a book. And again, nobody here has ever lived in tomorrow. Nobody here knows tomorrow. Nobody has ever seen tomorrow. I never saw a human being who greeted me and said, I know tomorrow. I just met it. None of us. And none of us will ever live in tomorrow, by the way.
Wow.
So tomorrow is an illusion. So the only day you and me have is today.
It's today. It's
do
today.
with
It's today. It's
What
today.
we do with today is everything. Because we
Right.
can use today to cancel a whole lot of yesterday, and we can
Mm.
use today to create a new tomorrow while enjoying.
Well, our viewers, you heard it. All right, go get those books. Prof's book is coming out. Tolu just told you where to find her books. Go get those resources. And yes, you can connect with them on LinkedIn and Facebook as well. You can reach out to them. We are at the end. And Tolu, your last words to our audiences, please.
Okay, so first I want to say you have a superpower within you, and you must ignite it. You must keep it burning. The second thing is that when you're at a crossroad, learn to pause. Sometimes don't stop. Just pause and reflect and try to gain more clarity about that thing before you continue. So that you won't get to the end and think, oh, I should have stopped a long while ago, or I should have paused a long while ago. So learn to reflect before you continue. Thirdly is that competition and comparison will rob you of today. It will make you live today the way you should. So no two lives are equal. Even your fingers are not equal. So ditch comparison, ditch competition. It won't get you anywhere. You to only rob you of today, and you'll not be able to live your tomorrow. And lastly is that whatever it is that comes across your way, just believe that God wants it that way. Don't beat yourself up. Don't think, oh God, I planned it more than this. Yeah, you planned it. You tried. But yeah, you have the results. So just accept that there's a thing in it that God wants to bring out of it. And just remember that God loves you so much. He loves you so very much. And you can be all you want to be and even more. Thank you.
Wow. If this doesn't spur you to action, I don't know what else. If this doesn't spur you to believing in your power, your superpower, I don't know what else. Okay. Put in the chat, hashtag my superpower in the chat. Hashtag my superpower. Do that. All right. Professor, your last words to our audiences.
Well, first of all, I want to just thank you for giving us the opportunity to be on your platform. Thank you. And thank you, people, for just kind of hanging out with us today and listening to us. Here are my last words. We were talking today about vision and growth. I want to say this, growth is the only guarantee that tomorrow shall be better. Your growth, your personal growth, is the only guarantee that tomorrow will be better than today. If you are not growing, if you are not making steps, if you are not becoming the person that you were called to be, you cannot be hoping for any tomorrow, because tomorrow will not suddenly change from what because you are sowing seeds that are going to give you a harvest of tomorrow. So here's what I want to say in closing. Let growth be the gift that you give yourself today, so that you can fulfill the vision that is on your heart for tomorrow.
Can you say that line again?
I said, let growth be the gift that you give yourself today, so that you can achieve the vision that you are looking at for tomorrow.
And that's where we end. Bye, everyone. See you next time.
For your corporate and personal needs.
Leaders World Institute. Changing lives, one leader